Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we will be doing part 3 on our series of checkmating patterns, and today we will cover as well 4 checkmating patterns. They are going to be triangle mate, Epaulette mate, backrank mate and dovetail mate. So let's start with the first one, which is the triangle mate. So here I'm just going to show you first how the pattern works, and then you should try and solve the next puzzles for yourself and then see the solutions. Okay, so here I take with the rook on g6. Now, after the king moves, this is the pattern that you need to remember. The rook and the queen are separated by one square and they form a triangle. So now you can see that the black king does not have like any escaping squares. So, okay, now we are gonna move to the second example. So here try of course to pause the video first, see if you can spot the checkmating pattern for yourself and then come back and see the solution. So here you can see that the knight here is blocking my rook. So if I can find a way to remove this knight with tempo, attack something, that would free my rook and I can give a check here. So now here the first move that would come to my mind that I need to calculate, which is knight to g3. Because it's a check, it's a fork on the king and the queen. I think if it works, then I should play it. So here knight to g3, we'll see. Of course, white can take my knight, but now I have this check. Well, after the king moves, this is mate. And this is the pattern that I talked about, which is the triangle. Okay, now we move to the third example. Again, here we see that if this pattern happens, it's gonna be here on this file. And you can see that I have two double rooks here. And this square here on g6 is pretty weak, so you can see that I can sacrifice here. Black takes, I take with check. King moves, I take the rook. And this is checkmate again. Same triangle pattern. Okay, let's see now the last example. So here, I don't want this black king to start escaping in this manner, so I must start with this check. Now the king cannot escape. So black goes here. For example, if the black king goes here, this is gonna be checkmate in this manner. So to make the position a bit complicated, black should go back to f8. And now I don't have time to take the knight with check, because black will start checking. So now here, the winning move is to give a check, so cannot check here, cannot check here, so there is basically one square which is on f3. Black sacks his knight, and now it's just the same pattern that we saw before. Okay, now we move to the second mate, which is the Epaulette Mate. So this one happens when the adjacent squares of the king are blocked by his own pieces. So let's see what I mean by that. So here in this position, I'm gonna start with this check. The king moves, another check, and this is the mate. This is the mating pattern. So here we can see the king is stuck in the back rank, and these two are the adjacent squares, and they are blocked by his own pieces. So my queen checks, covers these squares, and he cannot escape to the sides. So this is like the Epaulette mating pattern. Now we're going to see some other examples and try to look for this same pattern again. So here in this position, I can already see that the black king is cut off on the back rank, so he cannot go back. On the other hand, I need to check white here, and I can see that this, if I check him with the queen on this square, this would be mate, and it would be the same pattern, but this pawn is on in the way. So I need to remove this pawn. And the way to do that is basically to give a check with the knight. Now after white takes, I check with the queen, and this is checkmate. This is the same pattern that we talked about. The queen covers these squares, and adjacent squares are covered by his own pieces. And normally this pattern happens on the back rank, but now it works because the rook takes all these squares. Okay, so now we move to the third example. So here again, I can see if I can manage to get the king to this square and my queen here, it would be the same pattern again. But how to do that? So my bishop is covering this diagonal, but black already is threatening some discoveries here. White is threatening some discoveries on my king. So I need to be fast, so every move must come with a check. So the winning move here is to sack the rook. Now after white takes, I have a check on the corner, and basically I will force him to go to e8, and now it's the same pattern again. The queen covers these squares and the adjacent squares are taken. So here white cannot really take. If he doesn't want to take the rook, tries to escape, I have a check here and this would be mate. So there is no other way to escape this pattern here, and this is just mate. Okay, now we will move to our last example on Epaulette Mate. So this one is a little bit complicated, but just take your time and I'm sure you will find it. So here I will start with the check with the rook. After the king moves, I have this check taking the pawn. Now black takes with the rook. If he takes here with the king, there's this mate. So he's gonna have to take with the rook. Now we have another check here on h5. Rook blocks again. I have a check with the pawn. And after black moves, this is the mate. Now it's a little bit different. It's not on the back rank, but it's the same idea. The king is blocked by two pieces, by his own piece, the rook, and my pawn. If here again black takes the pawn, this is just checkmate. But the mating pattern that we are interested in is this one. Now the third mating pattern that we will cover is the back rank mate. So the back rank mate is basically when you checkmate the king on the back rank and like this, and his pawns stop him from running. So here we can see that the bishop is defended, but I have a move which I can play to check the black king and make him move. So if I check here on f7 and black moves, now I take the bishop, and this is the back rank mate. Now my rook checks the king, and these two pawns stop the king from running. So this is the mating pattern that you need to keep in mind. So let's see another example here. So here again we can see the same team. All these two pawns and the bishop, they are stopping escape squares for the white king. So there might be some back rank mate pattern here. And here it does actually. Here I can sacrifice my queen. I check with a check. After the rook takes, now I check on the back rank. Now normally this would be mate, but the rook can come back. But here I have this move. You can check with the bishop, force the king to the corner, and this is the back rank mate again. Okay, now we move to the third example. Now this one is a little bit trickier. There is no direct back rank. If I play here, white will just take. If I take with the rook, like this, he can take with his other rook. So it doesn't work. But here I can create a threat. I can play this tricky move, bishop to f1. And now I'm creating a threat of taking here. And this would be mate, so white will have to give up his queen. So first he can give a few checks, but it doesn't work. He can check with the rook. And now he's gonna have to sacrifice his queen, otherwise I'm just gonna checkmate here on g2. So after sacking his queen, it's gonna lead to a back rank mate. Okay, let's move to the last example. Again, we see the same team. Once we see these pawns here, it's probably gonna be some sort of back rank mate. And the king is cut off during this, along this file. But I need to get him to the corner in order to checkmate here on f8. And the way to do that is to check with the bishop. The king, well, he will sacrifice his bishop first. And then after the king moves, this is gonna lead to a back rank mate. Okay, now we move to our last mating pattern. It's called the Dovetail Mate. I'm not sure if this is how to pronounce it actually. It's a weird name, but don't need to remember it at all. So, but on the other hand, what you need to remember is the mating pattern. So this is what we're gonna see. So here, I have a check here. So I'm just gonna show you the pattern first. If I give a check, a king moves, and this is the mating pattern. So what you need to note is that the queen checks the king very close to it, and now it covers all these escaping squares, and especially this check, because it is a diagonal check, it covers this critical square. So black king cannot escape in this way, but his own pieces are blocking him. So in this pattern, normally there is one piece or pawn to the side and one in front of the king, or here, for example. So he's blocked by two pieces, one on the side and one in front of the king. And the queen checks him and covers all these critical squares. So we'll see other examples, and the mating pattern will just remember it. It's very easy. So let's move to this one. Here I can check on h5, king moves, and this is the same pattern again. Queen covers these squares, and because it's a diagonal check, it covers this square as well. And two pieces helps. He cannot go back, the rook takes this square, and the one pawn to the side takes this square. Okay, let's see the third example. Here my bishop cuts along this diagonal, but I don't want the king escaping from here. So I'm gonna start with this check. And after the king moves, this is the mate again. So we can see same pattern. This square is taken and two pieces help blocking the escape squares. Okay, let's see our last example. Here I have to sacrifice some material, so I have two rooks. Just need to remove this pawn, so I just throw in this rook. I don't need it at all. After white takes, I check, and it's the same pattern again. You can see that I'm taking all these squares by my queen, and these two pieces help. Okay guys, that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. So please like this video and subscribe to my channel to see other content, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.